Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. Thank you for joining us as we are continuing our journey through the book of Matthew. In Matthew, we are in chapter 26, and we're dealing with the events of the crucifixion here. Okay? Not the crucifixion, Jesus, the events right before the crucifixion. Okay? So today, this is where Jesus is arrested. And today I'm entitling this, Jesus Allows God's Plan to Play Out. Okay? And we've talked about this in the past here. God had a plan, and in this passage you're seeing how Jesus allows that to play out. There's times in this particular passage where Jesus could have stopped this whole thing and said, oh, nope, we're not doing this. Okay? But he allowed God's plan to play out, and he ultimately allowed it to play out so that we could have salvation. Okay, so let me read here today. It's we're reading from Matthew 26 verses 47 through 56. It says this: While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, and with him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Okay, so this is you had Roman soldiers back then, of course, to keep the peace and stuff, but then there was also soldiers that was part of the temple guard, you might say, that would guard the temple, and they worked with the religious leaders. Okay, this was guards from that. Okay, so they came armed with everything they had, the swords and clubs and everything, to come for Jesus, because the people coming to arrest Jesus were religious leaders. Okay, it wasn't the Roman government didn't care at this point. It was the religious leaders. Okay, so they're coming now. They do have the authority of the Roman government to be doing this. Okay, verse 48. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Now, also the term "kissed him" in this passage here, the Greek word is not just like a little peck on the cheek kiss. This is kissed him a lot. Okay, so just so you get the picture, it wasn't just like and that was it. No, it was he kissed him a lot. To be sure about this. So anyway, verse 50, Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, my friend." Then the men stepped forward and seized Jesus and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. We know from the other Gospels that this person that drew out his sword was Peter. Okay? And again, you're dealing with Peter here. Jesus told him earlier on in this chapter, "You're going to deny me." And Peter goes, "Oh, no, I'm not me. Other people are going to deny you, but I won't." Okay? And here is a step in Peter's fall, really. You're going to see as we get to the end of this chapter here, Peter really does go a long way down in his fall. Okay? And this is just one step. He's like, Peter is saying this basically, as far as I'm concerned, you're not taking Jesus. And he whips out a sword. Remember, he's a fisherman. He's not a soldier. So he whips out his sword and is probably attempting to cut off the guy's head, but ends up cutting off his ear. Okay, and then we know that Jesus would heal that ear also. But again, it's a failure. Peter was thinking, I can do this all on my own ability. And we know, we can learn from Peter, the things that God has called us to do, he's not expecting us to do it with our own ability. He's expecting us to do it with his ability and through the work of the Holy Spirit. Okay? Verse 52, put your sword back in its place. Jesus said to him, "For all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way?" Okay? Again, let's stop there. the 12 legions, and you're like, oh, 12 legions. What is a legion? Okay. Trapp, an author, wrote this: a legion is judged to be 6,000 foot soldiers and 700 horse soldiers. Okay, so you have basically 6,700 soldiers there. Okay, you multiply that times 12. All right, that's a lot of soldiers. But Jesus is saying, I can call down 12 legions. All right, so 6,700 times 12. He can call down that many legions of angels to defend him. Okay, but get this: 2 Kings 19:35. It talks about one angel one night kills 185,000 soldiers in one night. Okay, so imagine what the legion can do. And I imagine the legion is the angels are like in heaven watching with their hand on their sword, like at the call of Jesus, we're ready to go. But they're looking down, and Jesus is going right along with God's plan. Okay? And it says in verse 54, let me reread that. But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen in this way? So Jesus is going right along with it and fulfilling the scriptures. Verse 55, in that hour Jesus said to the crowd, am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat with you in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. The key verse today is this. It's verse 56. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Okay? The writings of the prophets, it was all inspired by God. Okay? And in the big message here today is this: Jesus is Jesus allows God's plan to play out. Okay, you're seeing that whole thing here. He could have called down the legions of angels to stop this thing, and he could have just walked away. Okay, which he had done that earlier on in his ministry. He had guys ready to throw him off the cliff, and he just walked through them. Okay, so he could have stopped this whole thing at any time, but he didn't. He allowed God's plan of salvation to play out. All right, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through the book of Matthew. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.